ɛhɔ no kore no ɛwɔ me see Ashanti Prime TV so opese o tie news pa ana wo pe baabi a asɛm a ye ka no unkobu so obi na opɛ no kore wo mu a hwɛ Ashanti Prime TV no kore no ahanko ana wo
tears of joy. So we say dinner so for where the tears of joy and Bishop Dr. Kojobua and the Debra Ashanti Prime Television so 11 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Edua debia. The pastor bomode na kachirobi na flobi no bizun kanchirobi say Bishop Dr. Kojobua wabetina say Ashanti Prime Television so enya senketo akro di jumadi atuni di say tears of joy and yede ebrewo me say ebre no ebre ben time no time ben anajo 11 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Empire bo be adwuma papa wi anu onwe ono betina say aye one-on-one counseling ai na me minimusran wo Bishop Dr. Kwajobu Asunti no enya na akokan wa asem o dabi otina ase na awurade afa no so na wayi enkonua bi adawo so e de afrius abusiafo ye pa ba bi papa ebutu eye na sorry a me pacho sokoban ampa me ai sokoban ampa me IBM filling station hona eho ena papa butu sokoban tienie sokoban ampa me eho na papa ewa odini dwumadie enyina bomoden ai numbers na ohu etwagu ewo kasamfoni na ase no fa papa number no na enene twetwe nkomo numbers na etwagu no papa number no fa na ne papa eni nkomo ofre no a ono a ne befa 101 no ono adi nkomo ane tears of joy na wache me so say me so me breni kama me tie tears of joy me so wache so ofio say me so me breni shalom peace bye bye macro
Brene akoso ewo yemmem ha enne nkofo amanso empani se ade achi na se yanti asemfufra enne na yachi na nibi so what in ye akoso social media ho be kire aba fontinta fidie ne so woni ne akoso ewo ho no enne na dwebrene tie me adwo adempo me ne mapamfo ewo Ashanti Prime TV ebina da bia enne ya wada bia wabra aboyume no nu wabra ye di dwumede onwaso bia to di prime trend ebrewo wo prime trend is so ameni ma
ene ejwada oforisi obosumene de etoso aduonu ewa fimpimienu ene aduonu ensiemu no nsi edikan abo ewo na wochi mu emraso sensema yensa ka ewo man Ghana ene amahodo so yede ba besomo ewo kasebo ekwan so ensema no pay bete edosu yi ni obeti ebi enie Ghana mampanyi abedi echi Professor Jina na opoku agiman ene wodi nsembi ato abontene
Saso ena na wachi yewe ya de se Ghana mampanyi etimi popo pie mu ewo eye northern region
ene oswafo wo hwe nensie ene nnwuma ehonsem so edensem bi ato abontene
Saso ena se kopie mu ewo eye kumase so ame ya de se won a omudi dwuma ewo ka ho se ya de se omudo ye cheke se pa nche so
kase wo benya bi ewo abefontinten fidie so ahwe Facebook Ashanti Prime TV YouTube Ashanti Prime TV and TikTok and say Ashanti Prime TV.
After so ma rem se kase be ya oda na ya boafo bi e na omo aso yasna ye de kase no eva beso aboafo ni bi ni POG band omu djuma omu DS omu de band e na edidi djuma ni senti program bi e na o ya ponto bi djuma die bi e na o djuma hu be hia so be hia band e wa ase dia no abomodia afreye e 0248 400056 and I say 0594 615325 afei so eba ni sikasem a na waka akoma e de ato ye nsanse kuma bi e na ye beje obomodia afre POG ba na afei embo na dwumadi a wudi no entini NCP emfa ema osaso e na ya de sa achi media ono so ebo ye chidom dendenden a enya asem keto a wo se opesa ogidi e wosini twam se ne mini ni aba ya tia no ma ya no katekate opesa wo yese ye nso a e na bomodia gra achi media ode ni audition e ba hye so nso timi epic form si bi nyeso etima boa no ni so ade hu na wosini twam no etimi SCP ede amawo ye ni aboafo bi a omo aso yasena ye de kase no e ba besum wo ye betwa ye wona se ba ya do kase ni mo esuko san se ni mo ekusu no a e na e ya na wote ni kankan
Omana de share be sign so mo akwa baby e dia ba Ashanti Prime TV so afeji brain na yendo nsem no mu eyesuko ene Ghana mampanyi abedi ehwe Professor Jane na opoku agiman ene wakwa akopie mu e wo Spain e bro kopie mu e wo honom no ene wokasa e de ato eye mpanifo anim se ya de Ghana aban emprempren de nani abri ye pa e wo kuayo e ho nsem ho esan se ye hwe emra Burkina mampanyini ede tabo eto so se Ghana yentumi ma honom emefa ntosa eyade ade adwendwen ebeto o man Ghana eso nanso enei yade aban na ye krado so odi sikapudu obehekuayo dwumedi titiriw ene wona edo ntoso se de be ya adachi bia na kom entumi entinsi Ghana ha sei.
Because there's one area in which we need to expand our economy, especially where you are looking at growing the material on soil to ensure that there's proper value chain established from the maybe agronomy to the production to even preservation. So we want to commend you for that. I also recognize that you've already had a chat with our president, as he always is. So again, we want to encourage you. And we also are aware that such interventions are important in creating jobs. That is a very, very important area for us, you know, in the whole agro-industrial drive that we have in this country. The end result is to create jobs to make life comfortable for our own citizens. We know this business, and it's going to be a win-win situation. And so we look forward to mutually beneficial relationships, and we look forward to a sustained business. You know, even as you add other means, as you expand to other areas, and as you also encourage local farmers. I was very happy to note from your presentation that, or I'm assuming that you'll be able to reach out growers. I hope so, just so that the smaller farmers will also have a way to sell their produce, just so that people don't feel
left out.
Yeah, left out, because we are very interested in forming and sustaining an inclusive governance. So that's very important for us. Because there's one area in which we need to expand our economy, especially where you are looking at growing the material on soil to ensure that there's proper value chain established from the maybe agronomy to the production to even preservation. So we want to commend you for that. I also recognize that you've already had a chat with our president, as he always is. So again, we want to encourage you. And we also are aware that such interventions are important in creating jobs. That is a very, very important area for us, you know, in the whole agro-industrial drive that we have in this country. The end result is to create jobs to make life comfortable for our own citizens. We know this business, and it's going to be a win-win situation. And so we look forward to mutually beneficial relationships, and we look forward to a sustained business. You know, even as you add other means, as you expand to other areas, and as you also encourage local farmers.
Now, cheer mu and a yard Ghana Mampini or northern region. Ya a yet somebody who didn't send your to Ghana watch say almost once and one. Employee and my mind that watch mu echo Effica sending to the new washer said. A yard is able to sound from more the eyes of the can be soon waiting me up one and yet my own so and someone soon let me up we.
When we came, we met, Parliament had approved a 277 million euro facility for Tamale water and Damango water. Wait, listen to me first. Unfortunately, because the past government defaulted in the debt payments, we declared that we couldn't pay our debts. If you can't pay your debt, do they give you a new loan? So the EU drew back the loan, and they said they are waiting for the debt restructuring to happen and all that. We don't see any sign on the wall that it will come soon. So I've directed the Minister of Finance that we will find our own 277 million euro in cedis, and we will do the water system ourselves. So I want to assure the people of Tamale, I'm a citizen of Tamale. If I don't do this water, nobody will come and do it.
Ekamia yesel my Ghana hanu say adia o man adehye da ye kasa ho rent se kobani se wo pe baabi edi uti atu osika wo betwia no enya agro na ya bo ye de ha watu aban nanim empren bebre ni na no na anu ada ye na wotwia echemu na wieye omudi dwumadi ehye so edin da so ene 2026 Africa Real Estate Festival. Now, Jumedi ya say eno so afo hwenwuma ene adansie so munyamfo Kenneth Gilbert ekasa ediato abontene say how Ghana ade hye yekom nyina na ya ade aban no wahu no watene nso say wo ye nhwehwemu pa yi a adan ahodo wo man Ghana mu ase no dodo na ankrankra ejapade enye aban ade nte say no ade aban ne nso aye krado so obehwe no ne abibre mama na ma ahodo no wonyina atenase asresra adwene ato adwene no hu kwanyo befa so na ne ese adan no obehwe no wasi ne e wofom no obia atumi arenti bia na obi atumi atobi adama wahwe asigina ye ne se de be ya eye edan han ho hawa ekoso wo Ghana ha sei na no ebetumi abrase kakra.
Ghana Statistical Service shows that the private sector accounts for nearly 90% of our housing delivery. This highlights a critical reality. Government alone cannot address the housing deficit. We therefore call on the private sector to scale up operations, adopt innovative delivery models, and align investments with national housing priorities. Sustainable housing development must go in hand with equitable access. Government is actively implementing targeted reforms and flagship programs to transform the housing and real estate landscape in Ghana. The National Affordable Housing Program is being repositioned to deliver large-scale, mixed-income housing through structured public-private partnerships. The District Housing Program aims to decentralize housing delivery, ensuring that every district contributes meaningfully to reducing the national housing deficit. We are undertaking a comprehensive review of the Rent Act to promote fairness, strengthen tenant protection, and create more predictable and attractive rental markets.
Bia Casa Africa almost say, why is the private and the public sector not working together? Yeah, we put it in place as the Africa Real Estate Festival. Because we are promoting real estate across the continent. Now making sure that all real estate companies back together with governments in there in affordable housing or can rent any science in a chrono Ghana any the whole continent of Africa no ebe 2 point internet de sa dwumadi yeshisha say dwumadi into ye bompa say ye be wie bibia no ye any Deloitte ye be back up with the Africa Real Estate Impact Reporter ebe reports bia obi a person investing in real estate across Ghana across the continent no obetimi nya sa documents na ebe guiding with real-time data and conversations I ebe gather with Africa Real Estate Festival no ama impuntu aba continent of Africa.
Oshe PNDC law kra ya amend law no but in somewhere 1986 section 4 of it says landlord and tenant agreement should be registered with you say it will register landlord and tenancy agreement rent control ben people omonye enti dey Kenya say now no rent control is a week yeah sorry to make sure say law now over 63 years any adwan no you come together and one area and say you betimi ama tenancy agreement ukotena obi fie now no agreement ontimi so prekope na onye bibia keke o se bra na be sign e ba sana e ma perepere enye adwuma enti dey Kenya say we are bringing them together and that we stakeholder engagement near the landlord and a tenant in our campus. Now by somewhere October, with the permission of the Ministry of Works and Housing, which I may know more can be go through by October. No, you bet man stakeholder engagement like say when they will bring landlords.
Ghana man penya pro bon sem wo northern region sanso den sem to Ghana wo chere say akwan odo ahun sem a enko yie eye salaga bimbila ene panda ina no behwe say omo be ni na se ne be bo ama no de omo so mpotamatimi akoyi.
I wish to inform Chief that we're also going to do, under the big push, the Bimbila Salaga Road, so that we can open that corridor too. And then we're also going to do the Kwandai, under the big push, the Bimbila Salaga Road, so that we can open that corridor too. Under the big push, the Bimbila Salaga Road, so that we can open that corridor too. And then we're also going to do the Kwandai to Salaga Road to make it easier.
Now, what you share mu and aban share edenjimedi edin daso free primary health care. Na eba no wadan agia say pragia na amanfo esusu say ambulance na de okotina so ewa be fontin video so titru ene TikTok adia na amanfo kasa se bi mototo ayampia no na Ghana Mampani, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, ne wakasa achirechire mu se wini madia ben panyin bi ne bisa no nchirechire mu enchireo na ye hye tricycle yi krampa nya dia eno ene ambulance na nso ye hye tifido mantemu ene miaye bebira dia akobedie hu eden kakra nti wadi wei eba se de be ye beboa na wona wo ba bedi dwuma ewo free primary health care dwumadie no wana eka ho no makobadie eho nsem ebetumi akoboko ede amo wenu nti no de ba na emum enye say ambulance
to let me be clear. I mean, if you don't understand something, ask. Don't jump to conclusion. Those tricycles are not ambulances. Those tricycles are meant for the health workers and the health volunteers to go from village to village for screening. That is what they are meant for. And so at the back of the tricycle, they have a compartment where they can keep vaccines. To keep the vaccines cool, it's at the back of the tricycle. In the north, a lot of our sisters who are health workers can ride motorcycles. And so when they go for health screening, they use motorcycles. In the south, many of the health workers cannot ride a motorcycle. But you need to give them a means of transport to be able to go and do the work you've given them. So in the southern parts where the health workers cannot ride motorcycles, they'll be given tricycles to go from village to village to do their work. In the north where they know how to ride motorcycles, the Chiefs compound will have a motorcycle. Our sister who's the nurse, she'll sit on it, she'll put equipment behind there and ride to the village and go and give them the attention they want. So let me emphasize again, those tricycles are not ambulances. I've seen a lot of people try to denigrate them and say that we're going to bring these as ambulances. They are not ambulances. They are vehicles for the health workers who are engaged in the primary health care program to go to the village, deliver vaccinations, and then also to do health screening, test people's high blood pressure to see if it's high, test their sugar level to see if they are developing diabetes. That is what those vehicles are meant for.
Na ewon sem krono mu ena Ghana Mampani ede nsem do no atu dwa bi fa yenduane die ehon sem na wo hye se ne ye ya ye wo eni efufuo sam wo ye no benya bi tse ni fufuo eni eke ka ho no obomode arese benya bayre so ede ho ne de ohia ne nso hye na aboa etia ma eduane won sem ye fi ahon sem eti SCP ede.
In the south, plantain and cassava are the basic ingredients used for pounding their fufu. In the north, it is yam. And so CSR and the manufacturers have produced flour that makes it easier for you to do your fufu. But using cassava and plantain, we're asking them to explore using yam too for the fufu flour, so that our farmers can get a bigger market for their yams. Normally during the yam harvest season, you come and they can virtually stone you with yams because yam is so cheap. And so a lot of our farmers are not able to recoup their investment. And so apart from the exports that are going, which is a good thing, we must also...
Akamia say in the Okoya Yaresabia Ahuduana. Aya anese for any adokota for Ohono Medjuma. I ni ose nipa bebre nipa be mienu anam yensa no behu na many paba akupe ene ye ne wokona ukodiki so afiti anopa ekosi na nwumre na wunyanya dokota na nurse ni mpo ema ne enhyew eno na anam so ame na president the Magana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists eyon munyamfo Dr. Eric Kofi Adua kasa de ato abontini so besere se aban no ma nani enkoho no na se nka wofa eye anese ne adokotafo a eya yaresa bia ehia wonsusu se enka ne ye nua no ma makwaje nteteye ewo nursing schools ahodo mu no obesan so atena fie se wo twen sa aban ebe posti wo mu nti obesere sa aban enhwe na asoafo ne na pamfo enko eya yaresa bia ahodo na mu no nkohwe bia ya wo hia nipa bebre na aban emfa bi enkoho no
omo a de wo so omo ye adwuma no empembe epi tititi fie enso bekono na adwuma egu a wo se nipa du eye no na nipa baako na eye sa ne mani na aya na mmoa because eno so tumi ma mfonso oba nipa baako o twa no ho oye eniema a wo se nipa du ye no ebetumi ama mfonso aba enu no fi hono ma yen perform we suku bebre etifie since to 2019 yen fa omo adwuma ana omo tititi fie enti no ayesere aban si afi ofa enipa bi igeda na se geda aban ase go mejiri sa aban bi abana ofa kakra nkese se obi antifi enti ebeda joma ama ase na emom no ayesere ese we su firi a afi bi ano omo no homoden no fefa di emaye de to su bi em ne se medlab council NDC for ashay bo se omode ebe maye no yesere aban so ofa maye yenjuma de ni bebre e wo hono ma yegentan ni because of eniema ba ku mienu bi a nanka ye hia e bi a wo balaba oba dwen say yenjuma de no eye say ye atwumoja na ye yinko a danye no nko a ye wo dwumadi a wo do bebre a e betumi adi na san council na ye ni minti ama yigentumi ni de sa dwumadi ni na enti yesere aban say o hye ye bo say afi obema ye council no obekoso aboa ama samples ni ade a yegede kwa amano ne ekoye ni na ebetumi aye ni na wo ye mamu ha
incident of the typhoid figures reported is a demonstration of this claim. The result is that patients in these areas often do not receive timely and accurate diagnosis, resulting in high unmet need, which ultimately affects treatment outcomes and overall quality of care. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Amabua yade se na odinsin bia tudwa a oka amana kwama eye engineers omo ne planners omo man so omo modian se omo betimi amasika akọ omo dwumadi omo di na timi abọ omo man so timi etumpon.
Is not an afterthought. It is our priority. Ours is to ensure that as the mind grows, so must the hospitals, the schools, the roads, and all the opportunities in our neighborhood. And another government will ensure that happens. GMP is not a stranger to this space, as we all know. Since 2002, they have been the technical muscle behind the man's operations. By selecting Holy Ghanaian own entity with a proven track record, we have ensured that no job will be lost. Every valid contract will be honored and that the mine will run without interruption. By this decision, we have also ensured that resource governance reset is realized. We are the owners, the managers, and the visionaries. This is an economic necessity, long called for by the visionary of Sajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We believe that Ghanaians have built enough expertise over decades to handle their own resources. And as I always say, we began at the tail end of the bus. We moved carefully in the middle. And ladies and gentlemen, we are here this morning to signal to the world that our people are now ready to drive the bus. Engineers and planners, you are not just taking over a mine, you are carrying a nation's confidence. This is only a leasing right. And let me emphasize, this is only a
Yes, I can say so. I was anti-mantem has a PMO, a woman Technical College of Education. And then penny for Hono Macasa, Ediatua Bontine say, what day and she shape Igua Quema and on Wabeshe. Na ene no betumi aba be short course e wo honom se ne opese wusuye tirebo ade pam je se ompese eye TVET addition no mudi bi wura mu e wo Mampon Technical College of Education so say eno no beboa ama sesi ano eye o manga ne ho se obi a ompese obeye nurse ni ompese obeye teacher ni na afenso adwuma ahodo no betumi aba beje eye entete ye no ono nso ne nsan no adwuma no otumi anya bi aye.
You can't you find employment and grow for near Jumaya. Nina say skills Ben and Corano, a Juma near Ben and Corano, son who's with me. They have one more minor coso. Into the FSA and say, you perceive the accreditation from CityVet. Now, for instance, Obi will help us with your fashion design, Obi will pursue with your fabrication, plumbing, or pursue with your car repairs, industrial machines and equipment. Then since what a caterpillar, ye mining Wagana hanging and Crofu for India, and a bat, no more by service. I bribe one ranch and my bow, a bit me at home, signing more we know to me, Abwa, no one else had no money. And in the air, they say, you persist to bet my accreditation. Yes, I never need it. Now, I said the Crofu for 3 years teachers. Now, cast one court and quine chamber, in Kusiajuman. A Juano Kusiano qua, the master of the council could see me money and my mommy. From a Marco school money, a woman's who see a humanity. Now she appreciates sons and no human Awagana. The appreciation and said, you appreciate Yanni Bois. Now almost young son was named Baba yet.
And now they are the Sagana man penitting Coco PMO, a year Tamalia, Biaya, or more a DAC, a year cardiology center, and so more Sabetina Bois, and my apology cemetery, SCP, a year. One more, Omujuma, Mahama, Omo never said you made a rating across Nabwa. I'm a Pomudion cemetery, SCP.
Yanko PMU ewo drivers and vehicles licensing authority a eternity a FNSA DVLA ene oko PMU ewo nkran pumpuni mente many omo nkra batani bia ne se omubie na omakwa akobie office foforo ewo ashama ya wochirim se eno no babu akra ama wona amrante wa se bise bi oni adwuma ye no na mabontene so ene efabra bi obi wo inside no register wo ka ma one ne ho niema bebre no se babu ama no so atintiga na ha se di se DVLA for Ashabo, so Mubeshena, a mantam names in Ibia Munamukrabata Adolson, Elhono.
And then in the month of January, we did 3, and we have done 6. So we've done 19 offices. In the space of 1 year, 2 months, we've done 19 offices. It's about accessibility to our services. You attest to the fact that coming into office, the DVLA had only 34 offices across the country, which is woefully inadequate. And that gives chance to people to serve as middlemen. And their quest to help gives them the opportunity to extort money from our clients, which we are against. So we are not going to fight them, but we are going to use our intellect to just take them out. That's what we are doing. In the month of May, we are going to have a series of public education with regards to the number plates. So everything is set, awaiting parliamentary days for maturity. What I know about the Voxy issue is that, but until we sit as a committee with the National Road Safety Authority, DVLA, and other stakeholders, the Ministry of Transport, to make any public pronouncement or other rumors should not hold. We've received the committee's report,
we have not started to make any decision. When we make any decision, we'll surely organize a press conference and brief the public.
I want to reiterate once again that this government is a listening government, and what you have seen here today is not the only benefit that the good people of Ashiama will be getting under this government. We have benefited a lot, road infrastructure already, educational infrastructure, health infrastructure, etc. We are benefiting, and today we are here to witness this once again.
What has said, if my driving license, I raise a cars, I renew us no. Asan edi ejuma aba mebuna e water tell so na medo bibi ase na mesre e branchia omode ehyenka no abe mojuma no se ansa na obaka se ukọ kwan so akofa passengers na do ejuma no hwese krata e mo tumi
na ewo mampena problem nsem ewo tamani odi nsem etu bia na wo chese ne oman mu bepiem a ade se kosua ebu oman mu papa ya na wo chese ene enua no mu do omudwuma ewo school feeding program ho do mu no mbo modern ase oma beji kosua bi na ne omo tin na maye mo franso di no mo so etini enya apomuden pa oman.
Now there's a glut in the production of eggs. Poultry farmers are complaining that they can't get a market for their eggs. And so, because of the poultry programs and all that we've done, the supply of eggs has increased. And that's why I've said that we should find a way of getting the school feeding program to absorb the eggs and give it to our children to eat. If we can't sell it, let our children eat the eggs. We are working to resolve these problems, but the resolution of
Abayana Musinia or Tano North Abaton Persuaso, Ayon Munyam for a year pious. Upokune ne what they saw abo from so one share na won't see a year police station, our home farmer this year, our home. It's also say a nay wedding, my dear Daha, ya fadi we say no so munya a year police station, our Tano North, said a very bebwa, na Chrono Bobby Brebe, and Abasa Basa, a coso, our home no. Ebetumi abrase
Krumba nkwana na se nipa dodo e wo krumba no ebro 10,000 nti krono enyini no na nipa bonfo bi so eyeden ebam nti no na eho akonya se nya bambofo emomu ba krumba se ya ebeboa ni monti ba enye kra no ya wusa timamufo eho to mu kakra ebinum eye nyapade ebinum so anya sika nti baabi a saa de no wo no na ese make sure say da bo mu hu ban abomo ajapade so ehu ban ama crime rate na say am robbery ne marketing kete theft for non kete no afri eye kroma say challenge ana on say we are call a young for a quite kakra. Quite a thing, to do all the practice card of a car for a case. Now, to see a police station by a babwa response time. I quick. Yes, you for a bush or machine. So, most started in Sabria, Bible swimming or people from no more you or more than na omunti na so yebekọ so na tawo in fact yebeka kai wo papa because pious opokuna ofukrom ha ya the meka chemini anom say first na ni ha na beka say before say police ni mra na wo ko by nene de o wa haya nti si ya obetini arahye aba be ye o de say ana say o de mra ne hye wonsam ye de wo pa ono nto timi mamra no ediu say de o say o ye de wo ye no nti se ya aba ne de mestre say ye maye hwe ya husu ye se ba ya yankofa asembia amra emma project no police station a 2-story me fa say ase and asoro ase no be comprising with charge office CID office archives cells male and female cells they are separate and I say station officer no office CID officer na armory nti wokɔ soro so a wobɛnya conference hall.
Asɔsɔfo a ɔmo agent tie ɛwɔ sukuu mu ɔmo allowance ya na aban ta de mo ɔmo ne no Ghana mampani akyerɛ sɛ aba bedwa we yɛ nsɛm ɔde to dwa obra ɔdam na probo mu ɛwɔ Tamale.
And I know there are some College of Education trainees here. Your allowance has been processed. And soon you will start receiving your teacher training allowances. I knew that one will get you. So your allowance will be coming very soon. It's been processed.
Yanto ansem so ewo mfimfini mantemu eyedentra esanse eho ena ukopie mu ewo honom a wohena wo honom na ade kwame a otoso miensa wono ena eyedentra esanse hene ena wakasa ede ato abanim se obesre se obepie mu ewo honom yade a wo man na ebo ne homoden se obeye mpuntunwuma ewo ehonom nenso de adri de obehia mo kakra ede afri aban ho or share so basic schools ewo ho police station and afenso niema bebre akanya wo hwehwe sesi emprempren enwia a wo de bebo so nti wo sere se ne wa ye adru na ban enhwe no meye won emwa
anya say edumedie nyina aka maternity blog wa ye sika bana ye bia no police station a ye sienche bia na wo twe ye bewie bibia ye sere wo mo ye hie nwia eti omuntu hu anamo na wo mo ye nwia kakra na wo mo ba na sesan asiemsie ye bia etimi aye bia support ama kine bi wo mo ba se nwia wo ho a emla eto ase wo mo mla se wo mo start school wo mo mla na ke yesi awi na afi so wo di sikota so wo di si public toilet ama na afi adwuma na ye ama wo mo na ye be ye adwuma nyina awi na ye tia na di se san akoto nwia na wo de nsoso ti e be sere wo mo se ebiti na ekwo so wo ti ye nka wo muntu hu anamo na se ade ye yapoa Ghana mine den shama de hunua de ommo ye de nya bi ne nso enfamos
den trisanse amwo kuma se Accra UK US tese me ka country bi blessings for so a enye yi omo do so pa ye hia omo nyina amwa se me kura na mo fa bibi mfam so a mo fa na so na adekwa me a den trisanse the third awoto so miensa mo fa no so na won fa mo aye kuro ni ntumpon mama ye nyina ye na se ye hwe aban ko a obia mo boden se obe bibi e dia bo o man no even the obe ya bo o man bia no eye oban timi sam se school na ni bia aban timi sam ba so be school na ofro
na ye kai o se ka se twegu e wa be funtinta video ahodo ni na so e TikTok ye di djuma e o Facebook YouTube e ne ke ka na bomodia na share ho ni ntimi emfa kasie emra emeso ye to aka se ye to so ya na emfa emeto so ewo yankasa ye die mu ha eya asante mante woni ne kopie mu ewo so am ye nwan mom do mu djuma ewo spare parts ya de se ne omo de wo ye cheke se pa hye so a enya asem kito aya omo eko omo de se wo ye twe ye hye so ahwa aban ne se enam AI technology won se mo de buy no mo twe se ya de a embo akwa akwa nti aban no embo mo de an se be hwe no ayi bi afa ho
enu no sunti no ye gitum se ye betua to na mom ye abai eye ade a etwa ye mene eye boa emwa ebegu ye dwuma akoye koto betkuma to na aban no ade ato ye so eno na ye sere aban ni se obehwe no wayi saa Republican AI no ka obetwi asensen wase ahwehwe mu bio na aboa ye nyina ye dwadie na ye hwe na ya ma aban na awotwe mienu se ye dbema no na waye e de ahwe emu bio na bribia on be frɛ ye no so no ye beba na mom se ye hwe kosi na awotwe mienu na yante ehon pupue bia yante ho nsempaye bia yenso ye betu ya hofo na futu a betu ya ho ne ye se obi anu asabia nyaado sabia kudonto obedi dwa na woboka eni ni tine eboa na omode beto so ama your port no ye de beto so amatamamufo a ye beto ye niema nim eye 50 to 70%, 100%. Na se obi ba na wo beto niema ukodwa so na niema ne boa ye dia emfa mo nipa wo ton niema no dembo faso bo no ebo aban no enam ase ya wode aba emwa ebegu ye dwadie eno na ye de to aban ni
ne empayifo se on behwe no ma hwe no ma ko ase aba bio eye Republican AI no na ye bi ya pono abri bi aba ne be frɛ esuo mo awia mo ye beba na ya gitum ye je enhihye bi ye je man ne chichire su bi eno no sunti e na ye di we e de to mpanfo ani to mbehwe no ma hwe no ma boa ye
Yenua spare parts dealers in semi so ne yento ansem ne so ewo epoye mantemu eye Hour of Grace Children's Home ukopie mu ewo honoma panyini pa wada ano eyon monyamfo eye Emmanuel Bengo nene wakasa eri ato abontene se wokọ eye emontene so awona asebisebi wono nom red ndubone ene ne ma ense mfata nyina no ekwan bi so no hwa eye mmo a wanya emfiri nipa honom na etumi amowon akotebia bisemu nti obesere se Ghana de hie titiru ene mpanimfo akakra ewo wonsem se wunye bia na atresem no kra ekire se omamu ewo insurance ne wogie na wanya ama onuana na wanya ama no asafo awurade yenhwe ne emu amwa ye hu susu se no no beboa ama yenua emabunu yi ayate egu abontene so red ni nuboni a ye no bebrebe no eso etumi ate
ma ende won ama mbofra yi soro ahyewa from ma mofra ya yehwe sese ya meka sei ebin kwakọ university awie Hour of Grace ena ahwe won ebin mu ye nurse for Hour of Grace ebin ye teacher for ene de bia bebru ya work krakra ya Grace ma Grace abaye yehwe won so enka wa akoma na wonso womeye nia echensa na yemfanhwe emofra no esanse se mofra yi ebi edida abonten na ebi dida market ni ade a obra ben na dachi woba bebo wo mo obra pa bi ebia woda wodam obeti kokoko no na obi kura sekan na obi kuratuo na obese wo life na mom adwuma ama ene nia kan dachi obeye obenu wikra no ene wabeye osofo na chese eye adwuma nyame aboaye na ye sesa mofra no won abrabo ma dachi mofra no enya bebi pa atra ama ye aban no so enya wo ho emfaso because ene obi ye nurse ne a oba bejo bi nkwa oman no so benya ne ho mfaso
besre atwe nkrofo bebre adwen abaso se places like this room here pa enye schools akese ni kura akese mu nko na akwa nkola na omo bomba be president ni ministers so how we have president here ye wo ministers wa ha ye wo MCs wa ha it message say yemfa ya dwene nso emra ha yemfa ye sika emeboa yemfa ye nimde emeboa yemfa ye nyansa anyame dia dom ye no yemfa meboa kubolofo pickpockets enuboni numuni ade we nyina efisa ni ma we sie jan kola we a na chese de omu pankasa na yeden ama omu nhede ni hwesofo obi a oni hwesofo onhye ne di baabi obeden obeda oni hweye no
afa yento aka sense yeto so dia ne nkopie mu ewo eye dwoma ne ne okopie mu ho no anya asempito na ebuno ho ene omode omone ohina oho ya ne dinye ne osaje fe ne nya asempito an to kwache ne pa na etimi akoso
Shana kwa that's what Shomozu a made the Akoso live report bro me ne mrante na di nkomo bebre na ne omo kire ne say nana doma hene de Galanze operating company bi aba ha omo ye adwuma na enam say sa company atuatua sika ama mpanimfo nti no omo activities omo ye na omo nka ho asem omo anyama omo ye nyina is similar to galamsey, but omo anam disika omo tietie no enya dem panifo e ka ho hwe na mo other people are omo so omo ye galamsey ni bi no na nana the task force for no eguso a omo attack omo wo sha branch here a nimfoni eda camera ni mu ya o chem say sekan na task force for no e de etwa no ahimfie task force for no omo no mo plan sa no ordinary so x-ray na paper say ati omo hwe jumadi ni live na be hwe na for omo hu o sisi kan na omo di twitwa na tisa no o chem say dana task force a wate no omo na omo di emranche na wusa no na omo chem ni say na natimi akofa company bi abadom ahinkro ha na ono oye galamsey activities na one stopping no na oba be stopping omo ye similar thing na anya de ombeti ase enti so ombeja na omo
Afei san so gibre na yento akase nso e wa aman hodo so nsemu na ene no nhwemu ama yate asese sene ewusi ne omofra tifie na modi enkita hode esifa ne titire enkom twitwe mu no eno e kire sene abofra no na adwen mu ebesi etimi akọ afa nso ono ma ofia na wa wese ne obesi ne omo esi edi nkita hode sanse hwemu a kire se sene ne wazito mu no saa na ya na
The number of words that the child's hearing at these early ages is literally shaping their brain.
How much do you speak to your child each day? The government has recently introduced guidance on screen time for under 5s. But some experts say the focus should not just be on limiting screen time, and instead making sure that parents are filling their children's worlds with as much language and real-life interaction as possible.
Looking at here is two different children. They're around the same age. They're both around 2.5 years of age.
Researchers at the University of East Anglia and Durham have been using small recording devices to measure how much interaction children are hearing across a 1-week period, before then seeing how this impacts their brains by using MRI scans.
One child here has the less rich language environment, the other child has a very rich language environment at home.
The scans show different levels of something called myelination. It's a process that happens in the brain which allows rapid communication between neurons, the cells in the brain that transmit and receive signals. Areas with high levels of myelination are able to process things faster.
Potentially, from what we know from older children, help them with language communication, language processing, and literacy, which is going to be really, really important as they enter school and go through their school life.
It's important to note that this is something that can change over time.
We get myelination from usage. So it's never too late to begin talking to your child. It's never too late to interact in different ways. Every interaction is going to be really, really crucial in shaping their brain. Finding the time to read a book or to have a little conversation or to ask about the day.
Yensa obi my son semne so ewo Cameroon enche biara na Pope Leo the 14th esi gina yese bibre mama na ma hodo no obehwe no wakwa pro ewo maybe asotithu ene wana mente me ho ase ekoso ewo honom no wanya sebi mpanifo honom kasa chwe na bro kopie mu ewo Cameroon no wo kasa edi ato emabu na wo honom enim se wunyi ni dia temptations na doso nso be stress wonjina won na so na ade ye frɛ ne se keta ahye ene proye no wonhwe na wontu ase
and delivered a message focused on the country's future. During a separate mass on Friday, the Pope urged young people in Cameroon to resist the temptation to migrate, encouraging them instead to stay and work for the common good. He also called for morally upright citizens to help fight corruption affecting many African nations. Friday marks the midpoint of his 4-country tour. The Pope is now set to travel to Angola, a country rich in oil and natural resources, but where around a third of the population lives on less than $2.15 a day. Cameroon itself is a young nation with a median age of just 18, and remains an important center for Catholic growth.
Yes, what I see so a woman who doesn't sing, no copium, a Malaysia, Tokito be or a yard say a Jaishi Betimia Koswama, and ye. A down who do the donor, and Etimi, Asha Menison, and so they are one, almost so at home.
Yeah, dear, my old Dawson, some never cause age name or Malaysia, nay, Ukopium or Honmea, dear Middle East, and Toka, El Coston and Penny for Malaysia Casa. Say a nanas who a student sound so is answer found go bo acosro near my baby, a bo acosro say a year 10 days ceasefire and penny for Atias and one share Nanka could you Monkoswa and from from no one shares and Niema, a bo a bit to me acosediana etiena.
Seventh week has disrupted global energy flows, pushed oil prices higher, and raised production and transport costs for businesses across Malaysia. Still, advanced estimates from the Department of Statistics show the country's economy remains fundamentally resilient despite rising global uncertainties. In the first quarter of the year, manufacturing output grew 7.3% in January and 4.2% in February, driven largely by export-oriented industries. Consumer activity also held up. This was supported by festive spending during Chinese New Year, alongside Ramadan and Hari Raya preparations, as well as government cash aid and civil service salary revisions. On the external front, trade remained firm with continued growth in both domestic exports and re-exports. While on quarter-on-quarter basis, the economy shrank 4.4%, reflecting softer momentum. Rising energy prices are also feeding into inflation, particularly through transport costs, even as the government subsidies continue to cushion households. Economists say despite these pressures, growth remains on track for now.
At the current situation where there are high degree of uncertainties, I think the Malaysian economy was growing at a respectable speed. The Malaysian economy was able to grow at 5.3%. Therefore, I think if, let's say, if there is a de-escalation with respect to the war in Iran.
Israel ko an to share Lebanon so eno nam so amene emu ni padodo no atimi ahwe omo kwan ne so yabe a yare ho sempa e wo Lebanon.
On April 16, 2026, the Israeli military launched successive attacks on 3 teams of first responders in southern Lebanon. The first medical team sent to help wounded civilians, the second sent to help the first team, the third sent to help the second. 4 paramedics were killed, 6 were injured. Here's how the Israeli military targets the people who save lives. In 45 days of war in Lebanon, the World Health Organization has recorded 92 attacks on healthcare infrastructure and personnel. The Israeli military killed 57 people and injured 158. Lebanon's health ministry says that's an underestimate. Its own tally, more than 90 health workers killed. What is happening now in Lebanon has been happening at scale in Gaza since October 2023. Here's how it works. First, the double tap. The Israeli military strikes, waits for first responders, then strikes again. In March 2025, 15 paramedics in Rafah were killed this way. Second, direct strikes on hospitals. In Lebanon, 9 have been damaged, 5 closed. In the south, 40% of hospital beds have been lost. In Gaza, only 42% of health service points are operational. Third, denial of care through paperwork. In Gaza, Israel blocks medical supplies that might somehow be used as weapons. And Palestinians are denied access to 8 hospitals that sit in an Israeli buffer zone behind a so-called yellow line. Israel accuses Hezbollah and Hamas of exploiting medical facilities, but it has repeated this pattern of attacks throughout history. Lebanon, 1982. Israel bombed hospitals across Beirut. The justification, the PLO used them. Only 130 of 1,400 hospital beds remained. Gaza, 2003. In a single month, the UN recorded 64 ambulance incidents. A pregnant woman denied transfer. A newborn delayed 90 minutes at a checkpoint. Lebanon, 2024. Human Rights Watch documented attacks on medical workers that killed 14 paramedics. It accused Israel of committing war crimes. Every assault leaves both countries with fewer doctors, fewer beds, and fewer people trained to save lives. Amnesty International calls it Israel's playbook. In Lebanon, with 1.2 million people displaced, emergency admissions tripled. On April 8th, Israeli strikes killed more than 300 people in Lebanon. Hospitals in Beirut were overwhelmed by casualties. And the pattern is spreading. Since March 1st, the WHO has verified more than 160 attacks on...
Kasi obenya bi ewa abelfontin tefidie so ahwe Facebook Ashanti Prime TV, YouTube Ashanti Prime TV and TikTok, and so Ashanti Prime TV o sha no comment wa like na wa share e de amaye.
Ye be gina we so na fe de kase ni na e de esi ha e de amane mo arem se kase ni a ye de eba besom wo ene osomfo ajo adempo me mi nuaba
Miss Nafsat, Yakra Ubia.
Bebre ne akoso e wo yemmem ha enne nkofo amanso empani se